They found him face down in his waffles. Maple syrup dripping from his fake rub. Who did he see when he heard?
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Log Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, June the 14th, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai.
Hello, and Sly says hello as well.
What the hell do you have there?
This is a ferret.
That's a ferret.
This is Sly.
Hi, Sly.
This is Carrie's son's Matt ferret, Sly.
Okay.
Sly's trembling a little bit because he's not that used to me, because I don't handle them all that often.
Put him on the mic.
We'll put him over here on the mic. You can't
Put
hear
him
him.
on the mic. Just put him set him down on the mic.
No. We're going to put him right here.
There you go.
So we have him on the show today because it is Pop Goes the Weasel Day. And as everyone knows, I always eat something at the top of the show. So the only way to pop a weasel is to put him in the microwave.
There you go.
No, we're not going to do that.
You want to pop that weasel like that? No.
No, that's why he's trembling. But no, we're not.
He's afraid that you're going to put him in the microwave, is what you're
No, we're not going to put Sly.
They're going to do that. Gotcha.
Sly's a good boy.
Pop Goes the Weasel is actually kind of has a reference to a particular beer that both of us like.
Yes, which is not out yet.
No, it is not. Why is it not? It's usually this weekend, isn't it? It's usually right around Father's Day, I believe.
Yeah, we need to talk to him about that.
We need to talk to him about
We won't even say his name. So,
No.
At any rate, we're going to
And it shall remain nameless. During the show, anyway.
This is a ferret. A ferret is in the mustelid family. They're like the same family as weasels.
And you didn't think you learned anything other than beer on this show?
Yeah, so not only that, they're also known as the American polecat, apparently. So we did a little research ahead of time.
Nice.
So, but Matt over there, he knows everything about hi. Yes, hi, Sly.
There you
go. Who is this guy?
He's just saying, what the hell are you doing with me?
Yep.
Let me go.
So could I have some beer? All right. So we're going to hand him back to Matt.
Hand him back to Matt. Go ahead.
Matt, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you, Sly, for your appearance.
By the way, he's not scared. He wasn't trembling because he was scared. They just do that when
They just tremble. Okay.
He was trembling because he was peeing on you. So.
No, he wasn't peeing on me. Oh man, they can pee.
There you go.
So
anyway,
at any rate,
right. Enough of that. So
I had to hand him off to my version of Jack Handy, which is better better than Jack Hansy, I guess.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. We're not going to talk about it now. Just don't let it go there. Never mind.
No, we're just going to let it go. I remember one time at Hunapu, I did take a picture of the clown. His name was Touchy the Clown.
Touchy the Clown.
Yeah, he was quite creepy.
Ironically, he got upset very easily.
Right? Not that kind of touchy.
All right. Anyway, on that note, any other day today that you want to mention?
Let's see. There is another one. Oh, yeah. It has something to do with bottles that look like this.
Oh, would that be
or like this?
Bourbon.
Bourbon is National Bourbon Day.
Happy National Bourbon Day.
We look forward to this day
every
year, every day. But probably none more than one of our guests.
One of our guests, and all of our guests. But today we have two guests. We have two guests on the show today. We've been trying to do the show for a little bit, so actually worked out this week.
Awesome.
It's going to be a waxing nostalgic type show. So let's bring our guests on without further ado, if you will.
I don't want to get waxed.
No. You don't. That sounds like a personal problem, right? Too much information. But on that note, I digress.
Oh, you're stealing. There is. You are foreshadowing one of the guests, like I just foreshadowed one of the guests.
There you go. We'll bring them both on right now. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Tom Mulvihill, the Beer Whisperer, and Mr. John Staradumsky, the Bruguru. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, guys.
Gentlemen, I thought you were talking to Tom and
I.
To all you Tijuana hooker fans out there.
There you go.
So, but Tom can also do his Whiskey Whisperer.
Later on, we'll merge into the Whiskey Whisperer if we need be.
There is no doubt about that.
I'm sure. Exactly. So, how are you, gentlemen, this evening?
I'm good, man.
Hot. It's crazy down here.
It is hot. It is hot. You guys are more south than Dave and I are. So.
Yeah.
John more so than I, but it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tomorrow we're looking at 97 tomorrow. It hit 94, I think, today. Next week it's 99, 100. It's not unusual down here to have this kind of heat in June, but to have 2 weeks of it straight, that is unusual. So.
Lovely. Well, if it's any consolation, New Jersey, it was close to 90 today too. So.
Wow.
Was it really?
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it when I was outside.
Well, you just said it was in the mid 70s. I was like, in your apartment?
It's 79 degrees right now.
Right now, yeah. I was talking about 4 hours ago, 5 hours.
It got up to 83, so not too bad.
A little
It
warmer.
wasn't that bad.
It was a little warmer here, but close to.
Well, you know what it is. The humidity is only at 50%.
This is true. Yeah, there's been. I'd rather have 90 degrees with low humidity than 75 degrees with humidity that you can cut with a knife. So.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, here I have plenty of humidity. I mean, I'm on Florida humidity, but I got humidity out here.
Yeah, here too. It gets humid. Yeah. That Gulf moisture comes in and just cooks you alive. So.
Cooks you right, yeah.
Just steams you, right?
Yeah.
Like a boiled lobster.
Well, you also are you've got tropical air being dragged through by the hurricane that passed across Florida, right?
Don't know if that impacted us too much. I hadn't really heard anything about it. So, but you could be very right. It might have brought some moisture in with it too.
It's possible. Possible. All right.
Well, this isn't the weather room, guys. So let's
open some weather room, guys.
Let's open some beer.
Let's open some beer. All right. Who's opening the beer first?
Tom's opened already.
Tom's open. Tom, what'd you open?
Yeah, I haven't drank yet, but I just popped it open. I've got the KC Beer Co. out of Kansas City, Mo, of Colts. 4.8%, 22 IBUs. Perfect for this 95-degree day I got here today. Let me finish pouring her for you.
Lovely.
Nice.
And my mention of the weather, just like yours, Tom, was kind of a segue. So
there you go.
Here we go.
What do you got there, Mr. Staradumsky?
So I have a.
I thought I saw a nasty game.
Yeah. So I know we want to talk about old beers, and I think this is the time when these are best. Ice cold. I got mine in a original 70s Gansett goblet back from
Nice.
the real Gansett days. They're a revival brewery now, but before they closed in 81, 82, it was everywhere in New England. So
sure.
Now, when you're done, when the can's empty, are you going to crush it like Quint for us?
Which is a lot easier these days than it was when they filmed.
Yeah, those cans were a little thicker back in the 70s than they were.
A little stronger metal.
A little bit.
Which is why Richard Dreyfuss had the paper cup, right?
Exactly, right, yeah. And I get it, but you know what, though? I mean, hats off to the Revival Brewery, though. They did finally switch back to those original can labels, or the can painted cans.
I hear it's a beautiful space there, too.
Gotcha.
Haven't been back to Rhode Island to see the new brewery. All of what we get in Georgia, and I'm pretty sure all the canned stuff, even up in New England, is contract brewed at Genesee. But
Genesee,
they're pretty skilled at brewing up some retro lagers. So
they built right across from Indian Point Park, I believe. So nice spot. I saw it being built while I was there.
Gotcha.
But they never finished it because of COVID.
There you go. All right. Dave, what do you reckon?
Something everyone's familiar with, even though we're spread across the country.
Boat beer.
Boat.
There we go.
Aforementioned boat.
That was before.
You've never had that on the show before?
Never had it.
Dave never drinks just one boat at home.
Oh, flashback.
There you go.
Oh,
anyway.
What a great beer too! It is.
You guys all went light. I have these two beers sitting since like about a week and a half ago. I was down at the Seed in Atlantic City. If you don't know about it, the Seed, a Living Beer Project.
Great.
She's brewing some great beer down there. We had a rye lager and a dark lager, both on the Lucre pours, and they were fantastic. I had like two of each of them while we were there, but had to get a couple cans to go home. And I haven't opened them yet, so I figured I'd do it today on the show. Neither one a light beer, but they're lighter beers, if you will. So this first one I'm gonna drink is it's called Stay a While. It's an English dark mild, so
it is
only 4.2%,
and it's a beautiful beer.
It's a great style. It's an underappreciated style.
It's another reason why I actually went with these two, because the two beers I'm having, they're both from the seed. The two beers I'm having today are, underappreciated styles and definitely throwbacks for me. Hence, what we're attempting to do on the show today. So,
Yep.
So there you go. Just take the
So-
obligatory
sort of.
picture here. There we go. All right. Cheers, gentlemen.
Here.
Cheers.
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 Proper glassware.
Oh, such a good beer. Nice toffee.
Mhm.
Little bit of roast caramel. Teeny bit of chocolate. It's really nice. Okay. Let's kick this off as if we hadn't already. A little bit here. Hold on one second. I just need to. Hello. There we go.
Hello.
Hello. Here we go. All right. So we're gonna. You know how we always kick it off and ask the guest. Obviously, we've asked both of these gentlemen numerous times what their first beer was. I want to ask them to change it. Here we go. What was the first good craft beer you had?
Anchor Steam.
Yeah, probably for me, Anchor 2 or Sierra Nevada, maybe. Definitely one of those two.
The first non-macro that I had was an Anchor Steam. But oh man, that thing is great.
Dave. I mean, Dave Mine's our first craft beer that we had, obviously, is the same, and that would be
Sam Adams.
That would be
Boston
Sam Adams
Lager.
Boston Lager.
And that's a good beer, so that's the same answer.
It would be the same answer, right?
Yeah,
Pretty much,
as far as I'm concerned. But then after that, the next one after that was probably Pete's Wicked.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after that, Voodoo Blackened.
Mm-hmm.
And then my first IPA, Harpoon IPA.
Yep.
Which I swear that they understated the ABV on it.
Oh, they definitely did.
Back then?
Back then, yeah.
They probably had to.
Yeah.
I moved to Washington State in '87 as the first time I'd had Red Hook, and they had a beer at the time they called Rye Hook. It was a red rye, and the first time I had that beer, went, holy crap, man, this thing is amazing.
Yeah.
Rye Hook is a very good beer. Yeah.
So it was. All those beers you said, Dave, same for me. I'm going to throw one curve in there, too. Right about the same time, I did have one of my first Tatty Porters from Samuel Smith's.
Oh, yeah, actually, same. Same, because I was going to a place called Floods in East Stroudsburg, and they had a drink around the world thing going. So I had all kinds of interesting beers there, as well as the White Lion in Dover, New Jersey was doing the same thing.
Okay.
Where I had a bunch of those.
Nice.
But yeah, Tatty Porter, and then also a misunderstood beer of its time, Zingu.
Yes.
I forgot about that one. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was misunderstood.
Got you started down the Schwartz beer path?
That was the first Schwartz beer I ever had. Yep.
Yeah.
I
Zingo,
know you're very fond of them.
Oh, such a great. And the thing is, back then we all thought it was, friends and I thought it was like Amazon mud water. But then after a while, when you understand it, that like, okay, Brazil, all the, after World War II, all the Nazis ran to Brazil, so they started making German beer, and here you have a Schwartz beer, and so I went and found one again, tasted. I went, you know what? It's actually not a bad beer whatsoever.
No, that was pretty good. That was Alan Ames that brought that into the U.S., right? That was,
there you go.
Yeah, I'm going to pretend like I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, I think he was buying that. He's a beer writer up in New England, which is why I'm familiar with him. But
Gotcha. Cool. Got one comment really quick. Doug Smith wrote in and said, Tom and I have the same answer. 1986, I had my first Anchor Steam.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably the same year for me, right in that neck of the woods. Yeah.
Oh, that's still such a good beer, and I still.
it is.
I'm going to tell a little Douglas Smith and I story because I've done that before in the last show.
Yeah.
But he and I, so there was a liquor store near where I lived in the 80s, and that's where I tried those beers for the first time. The Anchor, the Sierra Nevada. The guy that owned it was really a wine snob, but he brought in a lot of good beers too. The Sam Smiths followed soon after. I drank a lot of Furstenberg German beer, and he gave me my first.
Yeah.
He brought Chimay in, and that's the first time I ever tried Chimay. But I ended up working there in the 90s, and so did Doug Smith. and there was a case of Anchor that Jeff, the owner, had ordered, and maybe it came in with a lot of different beers, and it looked like it had just come from the brewery. It was so new, so we ripped it open, and the bottles were like gleaming, and the Anchor has that at the time had that cryptic date bottling date code on their bottles, and we looked it up, and man, it was like maybe a month old or something, and that might have been some of the best Anchor steam that I've ever had. The key to Anchor is it's got to be really, really fresh, and it has to be well taken care of all through the trip. But I don't maybe Doug can comment his recollection, but that was great. We really enjoyed those bottles of Anchor.
That's probably true of any beer.
Now, out of that case, did you finish the whole 24 of them between the two of you, or?
I think we grabbed 6 each and left 2 6s for the customers. So.
There you go.
Yeah,
that works.
And with Anchor, I still think Anchor makes one of the best porters in the country.
Yes,
Anchor porter is very good.
That's an amazing porter. Just
don't see it all the time.
Sure, and it's one.
No, you don't.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite. They make one of my favorite Christmas beers every year too. So.
Yes.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year is very.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to you too. Oh, sorry.
That's next month. That's July, right?
Yes.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in July, right?
No, it's always Christmas. Yeah, Christmas in July.
Christmas in July.
If you're Crazy Eddie.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. All right. Cool. I got another one. For you. Hold on. Let me pull it back up again because where did it go? There we go.
We have another what?
I have another question for you guys.
Oh.
What was the first? We'll start with John. We'll go counterclockwise. What was the first brewery you ever visited?
The first brewery I ever visited was a brew pub, and it was Gritty McDuff's in Portland, Maine. Still today is my favorite brew pub ever. Nobody's ever topped that one. It's Ringwood. I love Ringwood. You don't see Ringwood beers,
Nope.
But yep, that's it. Gritty's.
There you have it. That's awesome. Tom?
Try to remember the first, but the first I can remember here in Springfield, there's one now it's now defunct. Opened up in about the mid '90s. They were called Rye Bread and Apple Core. They were a family operation, and what made them a little different than most at the time was that most breweries or brew pubs that opened were kind of they're kind of burger and fry, but this was kind of an upscale dining restaurant with incredible beer, and there was this brewing legend here in town. His name is Dave Lamb, and Dave got him started. But Dave's thing was Dave liked everything to taste like a Belgian ale, and I don't think the people of Springfield were quite ready for that.
Gotcha.
So they only lasted a couple of years and went out of business. But boy, man, just the memories of that place is so amazing.
That's great.
Did Doug change his profile pic mid comment?
No. It was the same one on the first one.
Oh, it's
unless
weird
he changed it and you just had it differently and then it adjusted itself for you.
It's weird because on my screen, his first comment, the profile pic's different.
There you go.
Which is weird.
Well, on that note, I'll just throw up Doug's comment was his was Great Lakes in Cleveland, Ohio. So,
yeah.
There you go.
Great brewery.
Great space. Yeah, I've been there. It's really pretty cool. Dave, what was yours?
I have no clue. I'm trying to go backwards through one of the early ones that I went to was Weyerbacher. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day when Weyerbacher just had that tasting
shelf.
Yeah, it's the only way you can. Oh God, and I'm gonna save that beer for one of our other topics. I'm gonna write that down before I freaking forget it. Double, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Any rate,
Double Cat P.
Yeah, cork and cage.
Mm-hmm.
So any rate, prior to Weyerbacher, where had I been?
By the way, to answer while you think about that, the answer to your question about Doug Smith, yes, he did change it. It's a tribute to John and Tom, the first profile.
See, so I'm not going any crazier than I usually am. Okay, good. All right, so John, you go, and if I think of it, I'll just interject.
There you go. You got to go all the way back, actually, to the '80s. Was honestly Molson. First brewery I went to was in
Up in Montreal?
It was in another Canada. It was in another country. In Canada.
Which is in another Canada.
It was in another
More than one
Canada. It wasn't the original Canada. It was a whole other Canada.
Most people have their own private Idaho. John's got his own
My
private
whole
Canada.
private Canada. Absolutely. So yeah, no, it was Molson. It was Molson. Come to you yet?
No, probably not going to. It'll come to me at about like.
Well, hey, you know what?
2:30 in the morning.
Everybody just reach through and smack the back of Dave's head. Maybe it'll pop out. Into the front of his head.
really hard and a slight angle.
There you go, just a little bit. John, what was the what was your favorite beer at Gritty McDuff's? And just this isn't part of the questioning I wanted to ask, but I'm just curious.
I love their stout, the Blackfly Stout. Really, really well done. Irish. They had actually some really good cask ales too, and the pale ale that I can't think of the name of it right now, but their pale ale was really excellent. They did Boo Halloween Ale, which was a red ale that I really liked. But really at Gritty's, you couldn't go wrong. Anything that they had on was always going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Dave's making all sorts of noise over there.
Yeah, I had to grab another beer, but the thing is, it was still attached to its holder.
to its other buddies.
Yep.
There you go.
Well, I just wanted another boat.
You just wanted another boat because you drank that one so fast. I mean, by now you haven't realized that you drank boat fast.
I drink every beer fast, Sean.
On that note, I do want to bring this up too, and you were privy to this in the group that we're in that one messaging group, as you affectionately call them,
The dipshits.
the dipshits.
I mean, the Dippa gang.
Yeah. So anyway, we were at an event, if you will, over the weekend, and there was a Kolsch that a bunch of breweries brewed for the event together, but it was basically more or less a hoppy ale brewed with Kolsch yeast. So we're sitting there drinking it, and I'm like, boy, this is familiar.
Jeez, a hoppy
ale with
Kolsch yeast.
Wonder what that could be.
I don't know what he could be talking about.
So it was very good, by the way. So anyway, so it leaned more towards a Kolsch than boat does, but it was along those lines. So that's why it had some of the same characteristics. Anyway, anything on your brewery yet, or are we just like letting that go?
Nah, it'll.
So we'll go. You know what? Let's go with Weyerbacher. How's that? Weyerbacher.
Well, we're gonna stick with Weyerbacher.
Stick with Weyerbacher.
But it'll come to me at 2:30 in the morning, and I'll text you.
Well, that's fine. I have it on Do Not Disturb anyway, so you can text me. I'll see you in the morning. That's fine. It's all good. Anyway, all right. Oh, geez. Let's talk a little bit about yesteryear, because that's kind of where we're going with the show. Beers of the past, breweries of the past. The way basically the way the industry was, back in the day. When we all first, we're dipping our toes in the proverbial pond of it, and where how it got to today. I mean, we don't need to go in depth about how we got from one thing to another, but just let's wax nostalgic a bit, shall we say? Who wants to take the lead? I think we should let Dave take the lead. What do you think?
Well, if we're going to talk, because we already
put him on the spot. That's why I did it.
Well, no, you already start. We started talking about Weyerbacher.
Sure.
And how they've grown through the years, and there's some great stories that come out of Weyerbacher. Because if you remember the beer that put Weyerbacher, on the map, and anybody knows Weyerbacher knows what I'm talking about. It's a beer called Blithering Idiot.
Sure.
And it's a great beer, but it's really just the name alone got people wanting to try it.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people in the Northeast, especially around, the Easton, Pennsylvania area, the first barley wine they ever had was Blithering Idiot. Great story about how it came about. Dan Weyerbacher was getting tired of brewing a IPA, a pale ale, a brown ale, a stout, all the common things. They wanted to do something different. So they actually went to Victory, and Dan started drinking some of their barley wine and more of their barley wine. And even more of their barley wine, to the point that he turned into a blithering idiot, according to his staff. They took his keys away, put him in the back of his own car, and drove him home. And the whole ride home, he kept yelling, "We need to make one of those." And that's also how Weyerbacher's logo came about, because on the label, they had put a likeness of Dan Weyerbacher in a fool's hat,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the blithering idiot, and that eventually became their logo.
Sure.
So, but I love what they did with they barrel aged it. They call it Insanity.
Insanity is a very good beer.
It's fantastic beer, and its tagline is "The fool has finally lost it." It's a great beer. But where I was going with Weyerbacher is
Little known story is they were referring to Dave when they made that tagline.
that fool finally lost it.
There you
They didn't know. I don't think they know me when they knew me when they did that. But at any rate, when the first time at Weyerbacher, I was already familiar with their beer, and especially one of my favorite beers from them. And we just alluded to it. It's called Double Simcoe. And it was probably one of the first beers ever to name the hop right on the label. It was unheard of back when this came out.
Yeah.
You didn't see it.
No,
And in 12-ounce bottles, it was really, really good. But they also put it in a 22 cork and cage, and they bottle conditioned it. It completely changed the beer, all for the better. It was the creamy mouthfeel, the flavor of that beer. What was the last time they made that, John?
Oh, geez, it's got to be at least 8 years now, if not more.
Yeah, they need to make that again.
I do.
That was
it's got to
great.
be. It's got to be at least 8 years. 2013, 2014, I think was probably about the last time I remember
It's
seeing
very
it.
possible.
So yeah, that was a very good beer. So anyway, I have fond memories of Weyerbacher as well, back in the day. But let's go back even. Weyerbacher, what did they open? Was it 95, mid 90s, right?
Mid 90s. You want to get back into the 80s? Back to those beers we talked about with Black and Voodoo and Pete's Wicked.
Well,
Pete's Wicked
bounce around anywhere in there, really. So.
Pete's Wicked had a great Christmas beer.
They did.
Yeah, the Wicked Winter Brew. I think it was like a raspberry ale.
It was,
Nutmeg.
Yeah.
That was very good.
Oh, I missed that beer. I really do miss that beer.
Their Oktoberfest was good too. They put out. I think they were very underrated too at the time. They kind of got crowded out by Sam Adams as the national brand of craft beers, if you were. But Pete Schlossberg was a very, very good brewer, and the Wicked Lager even was a great beer. Nice, clean, malty.
Yep.
Always had a lot of respect for them.
It was a very good beer.
Yeah, they were kind of a little ahead of their time.
Yeah.
They were playing with flavors that people, weren't quite used to.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, they weren't gonna, if he opened even 10 years, but probably more like 15 or more, he would have been right in there. So yeah, you could say that. I think.
Yeah, give him 10. Yeah, if he'd opened 10 years later, I think he would have been really, really big.
Yeah.
It was big as it was, it just didn't last.
Right.
Yeah, once he sold out, unfortunately, the quality went down drastically. I stopped drinking it. I'd buy it every now and then just to see if it was
got better.
Unfortunately, it wasn't good.
It's always a shame when a beer that you fell in love with, grew up with, so to speak, loses its quality. To me, the biggest thing that upset me the most about a beer going downhill, and there's a lot of them, mind you, was Pilsner Urquell. It's still a great beer, but it was not the beer it was before the wall came down.
Yeah.
Before they switched to stainless steel, right? So
ripped the soul out of the beer.
Yeah, they claim they still give it a short conditioning in oak, but it's not quite the same as it was. I agree, but it still is a good beer. I, in fact, just picked up a 6-pack not long ago, and it's still better than so many beers today.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But it was.
We talk about pizza. Reminds me of the. So I actually I used to write reviews for opinions.com to make some money on the site because they actually paid you. And
what?
Yeah, and
you got paid to write. Wow.
I wrote a review which I actually made pretty good money on about Pete's Wicked Ale after he had sold out, and the title of it was "Pete beat feet and now his ale is incomplete." So
there we go. Turned into Dr. Seuss there.
Alliteration. I love it. I love it. Doug Smith put up 2 comments. One, I'm not so sure that John wants to share.
I don't even remember this. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I guess if you're drunk enough to puke in front of Gritty's, you're probably drunk enough not to remember it, right?
All over the cobblestones, John.
Yeah, I'm probably in a side alley. Hopefully, I had
down the alley. It's got to be down the
yeah.
alley, right? Yeah.
They do have those in Portland. They've got those sideway alleyways in between.
Yeah, I honestly think whoever designed that whole area down there in Old City just figured that out. People are going to need these alleys. They're going to need these alleys. So let's put them in. But but he did say Pete's Wicked Ale was fantastic. Missed that one too. Yeah. So anyway, it really was a good beer. I was going to bounce back even further because we talk all the time. We had mentioned the fact that Sam Adams, our first beer, and then a craft beer, I should say. But then not too long after that, into the IPA game came along. Harpoon. We had our first IPA. I did not Dave. Dave and I not together, but they just happened to be the same.
Yeah. We didn't even know each other.
Structure exactly. So, but yeah, those beers back then, they were, no, who was making them? I mean, he had Sierra Nevada Pale, but I mean, with the multi hop character in Harpoon IPA, I mean, that was something that who else was doing it other than homebrewers at that point, right?
Or had to get them from England.
Or yeah, of course, right. I just mean here in the U.S. But yeah, they were fantastic, but.
Maybe Celebration, right? But nobody knew that was a lot of people didn't even know that was an IPA, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a.
Well, then a lot of folks run around.
It's a Christmas ale. I don't like Christmas ales. I'm not having that. Right?
Yeah.
Part of the misconception that it was a spice ale. It was never a spice ale.
Right.
Yeah.
That was Anchor's area. That's where
that was exactly.
Yeah.
And Dave, what's my favorite holiday beer?
Let's see, Celebration.
There you go. Right, there you go.
Celebration.
My
favorite holiday beer.
My favorite holiday beer is an IPA.
There's no beer on the planet I think John buys more of than Celebration.
Oh no,
so
I make cases of it every year. So
you might have to list it as his favorite beer and take the holiday right off of it.
A little foreshadowing there. Anyway, so Tom, how about anything down that way back in the day?
Going back to yesteryear, I'm not going to go all the way back, but the mid-'90s. So in the mid-'90s, I was working for the retail evil empire. Without to mention any names, you all know who I'm talking about. Anyway, I was transferred. I was transferred from Springfield, Missouri, to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and then from there sent to Amarillo, Texas, for 2 weeks of training. So. And sent to this black hole of Amarillo, Texas, I happened to find a brew pub called, ironically, The Brew Pub. It was called The Brew Pub.
Fair enough.
They are no longer in business. However, I was only in Amarillo for 2 weeks, and they were my oasis, right? After my day of training, I would go to that brew pub every night for 2 weeks. Even though I was only in Amarillo for 2 weeks, I was considered a regular at that point. And they only had 4 beers at the time. I mean, because brew pubs were a little bit different back then, right? I think I know they had a wheat, a stout. I think they had a pale ale and something else, and I can't remember now. But I pretty much kind of went back and forth between the wheat and the stout.
Who was that? Sorry.
They were just called the Brew Pub, just a small little brew pub in Amarillo, Texas.
Oh, they made their own.
Yeah, just a little reminiscing on my part, yeah. But for that 2 weeks, that is what I remember the most of that 2 week training in Amarillo, Texas, was the brew pub, and how nice they were. They were very friendly. Every time after the second time I was in there, the third time I came in there, they saw me coming. He already had my burger frying. He had my beer poured. I mean, it was that kind of place,
You got to love it when you're hundreds and hundreds of miles away from home, and they know you when you walk in the door.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. Yeah, they were just great people. Just the whole operation was amazing. I loved that place.
I used to have that happen at Funky Buddha. I'd go down and to stay with my kids for a little bit, and I'd drop them off at school, go back, have a little bit of a nap, get up, and hit the brewery about 15 minutes before it opened, but they'd open the doors for me. I'd come in, and they'd after a couple of times, they'd like, "Hey, Jersey's back." It's like, Like, yeah. Just remember, they're like, yeah, we know you've got to be out of here by 1:30 so you can go get your kids. So they knew when to cut me off and get me out of there. But yeah, it's always neat when you're ways away from home on a trip and you become a regular at a place.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. That is always good. Yeah, I mean, I can concur. We go up to Boston quite often, 2-3 times a year, and there's a couple bars up in Boston that there's been even through the pandemic. There's been some consistency in the bar staff, if you will, and I get recognized all the time, even though I'm only there, a few times a year. And even more than that, there's one waiter in a restaurant in the north end of Boston that we go to all the time that has been there. He's been, I guess he's the head server, staff, or whatever you want to call it, or whatever. He's, manages them or whatever. But he's been there for 10, 12 years, and I see him 2-3 times a year. And he'll actually come over and talk to us. And we don't even we order the same thing. He doesn't even come take our order anymore. He knows exactly. We just stays. We walk in, we sit down, he puts the order in. Says same, right? That's it.
That's nice.
So anyway, so I want to get back to what Tom was talking about before we actually started the show. Somebody, Tom, you mentioned about somebody here is the king of puns.
King of puns. That is the one, the only, the inimitable John the Bruguru. Nobody is better.
Inimitable?
The inimitable.
Well, Tom, I appreciate you punting that one my way, but thank you for the compliment.
Yeah. That's that is a pretty big compliment there. No pun intended.
I say, where are you going with that?
But I'll be here all week.
Anyway. Try the veal.
Tip the wait staff.
Try the veal. I like that. There you go. All right. Let's get Dave. Let's talk about New Jersey a little bit.
Sure.
So these guys know a little bit about it, but I mean,
yeah.
What New Jersey is experiencing right now. We're up to almost 140 breweries, and we've had some close too, and not just old ones. Some newer ones have shut the doors for various reasons, but we're still up to almost 140 at this point. So let's go way back. I mean, what was the what was the scene like? Let everybody know what the scene was like. There's been a few times that we've discussed it, briefly here and there on the show. So, but let's talk a little bit about what New Jersey's craft beer scene looked like, not just like 10 plus years ago, but even before that, even going back 20 years.
Well, geez, when you go back 20 years, everything in Jersey changed in the beer world when Carton and Cane came online.
Mm-hmm. And that was only 11 years ago.
It was only 11 years ago, but everything changed. Prior to that, the best brewery in New Jersey was considered Flying Fish. And I don't want to disrespect them or anything, but they had a great exit series. Love the exit series, but the 12 ounces. Redfish was good. Hopfish was okay.
I was always a fan of the double. That was probably my favorite beer from Flying Fish.
Yeah, my favorite beers from them was probably somewhere in the exit series. There was the one that I think became Redfish eventually. It was named after the exit that Rutgers was off, so it was called Scarlet something or whatever, named after the Scarlet Knights.
Gotcha, yeah, and it became Redfish. Yeah, I forget.
It became Redfish. Yeah.
There's a couple that graduated to a name, not just an exit.
Yeah.
Right.
The Oyster Stout, which was exit 1, I believe, was a good one.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the two of the best breweries in the state at the time, Flying Fish and River Horse, visited them both, and they've both moved since. I've not been to their new locations. I've got to get to their new locations.
Yeah, the new ones are the new Flying Fish location. Actually, both of them, they're huge. I mean, immense. As far as not so much the taproom area. The taproom area is actually, I mean, they're both bigger than they had, but not measurably bigger. But the production area is just immense. I mean, I forget what Flying Fish their brew house is and their barrel capacity. But
well, Forgotten Boardwalk is in it now.
Forgotten Boardwalk is in Flying Fish's former space. Yes,
in Cherry Hill.
Yep.
Yeah, that actually, I went there when my dad lived in Maple Shade, and
Very close.
It was during the tour hours, but for whatever reason, they were closed to the public. I did see the location though. And
did you go to the children's? Did you go to the Children's Museum instead?
No.
It was right across the road from.
Oh man, we missed that one. No, I didn't. We went to the aquarium though. So.
Oh, there you go.
Is that Camden? Is that Camden?
Yeah, Camden.
Yeah. Camden, yeah.
The Battleship is right near it. The
Battleship, New Jersey's right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, that event's coming up, isn't it? The Battleship.
In a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one I wanted to make it to this year that I'm not going to make it to. At any rate, but back to River Horse. River Horse's original space was just so neat. It was small, but it was an old mill. So it was 3 floors.
Yep.
And they would crane all the grains up to the top, and then just gravity systemed it all the way down all the way through all the different processes.
It was such a cool building. It was all exposed brick. It was such a really cool old mill, and just the area, because it was in Lambertville. I don't know if you know much about Lambertville. It's very,
trendy-ish.
Trendy, not so much trendy, but it's still like a cool
hippie.
little old artsy. Yeah, now it's become that, but even before that, it was this cool little, right along the Delaware, little hamlet, if you will. With some art shops, and I mean,
to be or not to be.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, but we used to take trips down. We used to make a day of it. We used to go down 206. We used to stop at Unionville Vineyards in East Amwell, and have do a little bit of a wine tasting.
Because New Jersey is known for their wines.
Because New Jersey is known for their wines, but Unionville, to be quite honest with you, is one of the better wineries in New Jersey.
We've actually got a few decent ones.
We've got a few good ones, yeah.
Benedice.
There you go. So, but anyway, so then we'd leave there, not long, just kill the time a little bit before getting down to River Horse, and then we go in, we park by River Horse, and back then, obviously, 12 years ago, or 10 years ago, when they passed the law in New Jersey that breweries could have tap rooms. Prior to that, you'd go in, you had your tour, you had 4 4-ounce samples, that's it. And if you want to get a 6-pack or 2 to go, that's it. Get out. That was it. It was a quick visit, and that was it. So this is back then, right? So we'd pull in, we'd park, we'd go in, and we'd have our 4-ounce samples. There might have been more than 4, but we'd have them, and then we'd leave. We actually leave the car there, and obviously we weren't driving anywhere after having all of that, right? But we'd walk over the New Hope Bridge into Pennsylvania.
Into New Hope, Pennsylvania,
yeah. And walk around there, eat over there, and walk around all the shops.
Go drink at Mother's.
Or even Triumph.
Triumph, yeah, when it opened.
When it opened, yeah, after the fact, yeah, but once it opened, yeah.
What was neat about River Horse? Getting there, if you felt like you shouldn't be there and shouldn't be driving down that road, you were in the right place.
Exactly.
Remember that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You thought you were okay. Am I going to some apartment? No, wait. And I'm turning, and I'm going. This is another one.
This isn't right.
There it is.
Let's turn around. No, the directions take us here. Let's go back. No, this can't be right. Let's turn around. I think I had.
You had to know you were going there to get there. I mean, before navigation, you had to know you were going there to get there. That was for sure. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, I mean, even go back 20 years, you had Flying Fish, you had River Horse, you had Ramstein, you had Cricket Hill had just opened up 20 years ago.
Cricket Hill.
Cricket Hill.
Are they still open? Cricket Hill?
They are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rick is still going strong.
Yeah, he is.
He's got new brewer's blood in there.
Yes, he does.
I think they actually cleaned the equipment finally.
Nah, he's.
No, they've always done that. But
he's a good guy. But
like Rick would always say, as long as it's clean on the inside, it doesn't matter about the outside.
Right. True though.
It's true.
It's very true.
True.
Yeah.
Because you look around the brewery going, did the maid quit?
Yeah, really. But
It was a fun place to drink, though.
it was good. It was a good time. I think I just told this on the show a couple weeks ago. But I won't go into the details, but John, my first beer, and I'm going back 17 years, maybe 16, 17 years. My first beer that I had ever at Cricket Hill, I poured myself.
Yeah, you told me about that.
It was snowing out. I pull up in the back. It's Friday night. What you call it? Tasting room hours, if you will.
The Friday night tour.
Friday night tour. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And then, I was pulling it back, and it was about 15, 20 minutes before it started officially, right? I'm pulling it back, and it's January, right? It's snowing out. Rick's shoveling snow. So I pull up, roll down the window. You doing the tasting tonight? Yeah. You're doing tour tonight? Yeah. And he says, if I were you, I'd park over there and go inside and have a beer. I parked, went inside, nobody was there. I poured my own beer.
Speaking of pouring a beer, the Beer Whisperer just poured another one.
Beer Whisperer, what did you pour?
So this is what I picked up a couple weeks ago when we were on vacation. It's out of Pittsburgh, Kansas, called Jolly Fox. Now, they have this listed. It's called Foxy India Pale Ale. It's good. It's 5.1%, but it's not an IPA. It's a pale ale. But name aside, the beer is absolutely brilliant.
Nice. Very nice.
Good.
That's good, Tom.
Are you still on your first there, Mr. Staradumsky?
Yeah, actually, just about to get another one. I
There
think.
we go.
I think it's
On that note, I will do exactly that.
You got it. Dave, are you going to pour your second beer? Well, technically third.
This is my second beer. No, this one's going down a little slower.
I'm leaving that one alone.
I'm waiting for Tom to jump in on that one.
I was cutting you a break, Dave.
Those are the more expensive Tijuana hookers.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
While we're waiting on John, I'll tell you a little bit about my weekend. I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
You were bouncing around, saw a lot of that.
So back in March, I bought tickets for a blues fest, and I think, okay. And then a couple months later, something came up for a show, and I said I agreed to that. I didn't realize they were back to back. So I ended up going on Friday and Saturday nights. I joked, my head thinks it's 25, but my body thinks my head's an idiot.
Right.
Oh, it was crazy. But it was, in all honesty, though, it was the most fun weekend of music that I've had in quite some time. It was just the weekend itself was just amazing.
Nice. Yeah, you need that every once in a while.
I got to be a little bit of a minor celebrity. So the producer of not the producer, but the promoter of the show, I should say, I wasn't able to be in town Friday. So they had me introduce the band. So I got to go up and introduce the band. These guys were just amazing.
That's great.
I saw you took pictures with the band and everything.
Yeah, it's his new profile picture now, too.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very nice.
Mr. Staradumsky, what did you get to drink?
So, in the spirit of classic beers, I've got a Sam Adams Boston Lager.
There you go.
This is a beer that I always have on hand. I got a old school, if I get it in the camera right, Sam Adams glass.
That's a beautiful.
That's a very, very, very nice.
One of the prize glasses in my collection. It's best beer in America. That was one of the original marketing slogans that Jim Cook and Boston Beer used. Declare your independence from foreign beers. A lot of people don't remember, but originally, they weren't competing with really other craft beers because there weren't a lot of other craft beers in 84, 85. So they positioned themselves as an alternative to imports. I think it's a great beer. Michael Jackson loved it. He thought it was great. If it was good enough for him, it's good enough for me. So,
and you remember what Michael Jackson's favorite beer was?
I don't.
He would always say it was Alaskan smoked porter.
Oh, really?
An Alaskan smoked porter.
Alaskan brewing.
That I can understand that. It really is a great beer. So
it's a genius beer, and I can see it coming from someone who loves Scotch so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that makes sense.
Right.
I mean, he did when he did the Beer Hunter series, and he did the segment on Germany. He was in Bamberg for one part of that episode. So
that's not a surprise.
Yeah. classic smoke beers.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's great. Are you still going to work on that? I'm gonna open mine then. On my second beer is called All Through Time. It's again from The Seed, a living beer project down in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and this one is an alt beer.
Alt beer.
An alt beer.
And what does alt mean?
Old.
Old. But the beer is not old.
The beer is not old. This is pretty fresh, actually.
Just old style.
It's an old style of beer from Germany.
Where in Germany, John?
Um,
Do we know?
Where in Germany? Right about there.
Right about there?
Right about there. Hold on, I'm taking the obligatory picture. Where in Germany, Dave?
In the Rhineland, apparently. Dusseldorf, specifically.
Dusseldorf. One of my favorite styles of mustard.
Also, one of my favorite cities to say. Dusseldorf.
Dusseldorf.
It's just fun to say.
Dusseldorf.
Go ahead, say it if you'd like. It's
not
fun.
not my favorite city in Germany, mind you.
Probably not.
My favorite city in Germany is my last name with an EN at the end.
Fledungen?
Fledungen.
Fledungen.
Mhm.
What are you flinging? What did you flung?
Are
You're
you
a
guys familiar
funny
with Horst
guy.
Dornbusch?
What's that?
Horst Dornbusch,
Horst
Uh,
Dornbusch.
German brewer and author. But he brewed an excellent alt beer, Dornbusch Alt, which in the 90s was brewed up at Ipswich and came in the springtime
Okay.
bottles. And that's was actually probably one of the best alt beers. In fact, do you guys know Conrad Seidel?
Yes.
So Conrad came to Rhode Island one time and we did a tour and we were talking about Dornbusch, Horst Dornbusch and Dornbusch Alt. And of course, Conrad Seidel writes about beer in Austria. But he said that it was better than a lot of German alt beers. So always stuck in my mind.
Wow.
We thought it was great and we got that confirmation of that. So
Nice.
That's great.
Ipswich Brewing. Now there's
Yeah.
a blast from the past.
Going back, yeah. Absolutely.
Is that the brewery that Sam Adams just did one run of their beer about maybe 10 years ago? Is that Ipswich? Or was
Ipswich.
it? No, it was another
Yeah.
one. It had like a schooner on the label. It's like a pale blue.
Oh, it's New Albion.
New Albion. That's
New
it.
Albion, yeah,
That's right. That's what it was.
Ipswich, I think, became Mercury, which became Clown Shoes, which became Harpoon, or was
Right.
bought by Harpoon. So, yeah.
Oh, this beer's very good. The alt beer. If you were wondering, I figured
Everything that the seed makes is very
Yeah,
good.
she's making some very good beer. She is.
Yeah.
And she did help us out too, because we had bought a new jockey box, brand new jockey box to use down at the AC Beer Fest, and the first stop was at the Seed.
Right.
And I looked at Matt and we actually said, you know what, we got to put this thing together because we got to use it tomorrow, right? So it was just, because they don't ship it with all the hoses and clamps and everything on it. It comes with it, so you have to put it together. So I'm like, after about 3 beers, I'm like, you know what, let's do it here. And we actually asked Amanda, and she actually helped us out with a little Sani and some cleaners, some Sani. So we actually put the while we're drinking, we got a fourth rye lager, or fourth beer, a second rye lager. You're
putting this together after 4 beers.
After 4 beers, we put the Rocky Box together and actually
The Rocky Box?
Sanied it. Rocky Box, yes, and cleaned it and sanied it right there. So cheers, Amanda. Thank you very much for your contribution to our Jockey Box.
Not touching that one.
I knew you were going to say something. about
That's
that.
not going anywhere with that.
So, I got a couple comments here. Hold on one second.
Yes, Doug has been prolific here.
There we go. So let's jump on a couple of these. He said, first of all, what do you guys think? What do you guys think how IPA has trended? Can we all agree that Juicy Hazy is not IPA? I'm hoping it swings back to old school.
Yes, and yes, Douglas. Yes, I agree with everything you just said.
Mhm.
They are not IPAs. I've been saying that since their inception. They are not IPAs in any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I do. I think some of them are. I think when you get away from the bitterness in them, that's when I agree. They're not IPAs. I like them better than the Fruit Loopy West Coast IPAs that we got for a while that were like a roll of Lifesavers, tropical fruit flavor. But my favorites are just.
Hazy tastes like. I mean, I've had people that love hazy say, "You're gonna love this, Tom. It tastes just like orange juice." Well, if I want orange juice, I'll drink orange juice.
Orange juice, right?
I mean, if you like it, if that's what you want to drink,
Then I'll buy the fucking orange Julius. I don't need a beer that tastes like an orange Julius.
whatever floats your boat. If that's what your thing is, But my problem
Julius,
is not that they
Julius.
have them; is that some breweries that's all they do is 15 of those and nothing else.
And nothing else, right? Exactly.
IPA, if they don't drink like an IPA, they don't taste like an IPA, they don't have the aroma of an IPA, they're not an IPA.
Right. I agree with that. I agree with it. It's just, look, it's a different style that has adopted because of how it was born, how it developed. It kept the IPA moniker, but it is a different style.
It is.
If you want to call it a New England ale,
It's a different style, but it's always been an evolving style, right? Because
right.
Yes.
I mean, the classic English IPAs were hopped with, English hops, Kent Goldings and Fuggles and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They underwent a sea journey. They might have taken on some woody character from being in the cask and sloshing around in the boat on the way to India, right? And then along comes these crazy Americans with their piney, resiny, caramel malty IPAs. And somebody could have been Tom the Beer Whisperer could have been around those days saying they don't drink like a classic IPA. They don't have English hops, right?
Wow, that's a damn good impersonation you just got.
If I want piney resin, I'll take a bite out of a pine tree.
Oh, you got stepped all over there, Tom.
Tom, what did you say?
What do you say? Tom, we didn't hear what you said.
I said I'm both flattered and insulted at the same time.
Same time, right?
It's done with love, Tom. I'm just.
Oh, he nailed you on it though.
But yeah, you're right. It's exactly. It's an evolving style, and this is just the latest in its evolvement. So,
Well, like to John's point, like you take imperial stouts.
Sure.
They're really not all that close to the original stouts that were brewed. And then again, us crazy ass Americans get our hands on them. We start throwing coffee in it, throwing some bourbon barrels. Now we're throwing lactose and all kinds of other crap into it, right, and making these things into chocolate milkshakes or liquid candy bars. Mm-hmm. When we get to my favorite beers of all time, though, don't hold it against me what I just said, because one of them tastes just like a freaking candy bar. Anyway,
exactly.
But to John's point, these all styles tend to evolve. And, Doug's point that it's not an IPA, no, they're not IPAs. There are any IPAs, whatever you want to call them. They are a separate style, but they are still in the IPA family because of their grain bill, their hop bill. They're just done in a certain way that they're more approachable than the IPAs that we cut our teeth on, those piney, resiny ones that John mentioned. And now when you do get your hands on a West Coast IPA, you're in heaven.
Sure.
It's like, I remember this. But then again, the Brits are sitting there going, West Coast IPA. Well, at the time, it was just an American IPA, if you remember.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because that was the only IPA that was out.
IPA in those days, but yeah.
Yeah. But it was just an American IPA, because it was either an American IPA, American style IPA, or British style IPA. Harpoon IPA was a British style IPA. Mm-hmm. The American style was that West Coast style, and then things started to change. And those damn New Englanders just fucked everything up, didn't they, Staradumsky?
Enter the Alchemist.
Enter the Alchemist, right?
Or some shit.
The Alchemist. Yes.
But they did take they took the spotlight. I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't mean to interrupt you again. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that everything has to taste like anything but beer. Anybody that's making real beer seems to get criticized these days.
Right.
Yeah, but you have the Alchemists. Even you take those two beers, even they started any IPAs, they're still IPAs. They're still bitter.
Yeah. I mean,
just hazy.
Heady Topper or Vocal Banger, they're not these hazy, juicy, as Orange Julius beers, as Tom put it. They're much more close to IPAs than anything else. They just
I agree.
Created it, and it just kept moving away and moving away and moving away, and that's what it's become going to throw this other comment up from Doug here. Being a brewery owner, Johnny, I think you know the haze craze ain't going anywhere, and it gets the people in the doors. Well, you see, and I just want to throw that up because this is indeed very true. And
John's first 2 beers.
It's an unfortunate. I don't want to say it's an unfortunate thing, right? It is what it is. The first 2 beers we had to brew were hazy IPAs because if we brewed anything else for the first 2 beers, they would not have gotten as much traction, if you will, for our first 2 offerings. It's just a necessity in this game right now that you brew hazy IPAs, and we're not one of these breweries that are going to be brewing, as John said before, 15, 18 different IPAs, New England IPAs and hazies and nothing else. That's not the case. There'll be plenty of other beer, but to get into the game, yes, to Doug's point, it's a necessity, and it gets the people in the doors. It gets the people to the stores to buy the 4-packs. It gets the people.
Keeps the lights on.
It keeps the lights on. It in our case, it turned the lights on, right? So.
And that's there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's the public giving the public what the public wants. If you don't do that as a business, you're not going to be in business very long. So
here's a question, just to play devil's advocate.
I mean, I've said over and over again, the guys our age need to come to the realization that we're no longer the demographic, right?
Right.
We're not that are filling the bar stools on a regular basis, so it doesn't really matter what Tom wants, or it doesn't matter. It's what's getting those 20 and 30 somethings in the door, because those are the folks that are going out often. I mean, hell, once a month.
We're not going out. We're not filling those bar stools on Friday nights. We're sitting at home on our computers and our phones, drinking with each other. Talking about
I think one of the beautiful things about the craft beer movement, though.
The beer's cheaper. I'm not wasting gas. I'm keeping my ass at home. And
there you
go. And not risking that DUI. But Tom, you started to make the point I was gonna make was we're talking about how these hazy IPAs, the NAIPAs, keep the lights on because they're one of the most popular style out there right now, right? So you've got the 4 of us sitting here basically saying, "You kids, get off my lawn." These old fucks complaining about the new kids' beer because it doesn't taste like our beer.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And now go back to your parents, right? What are they drinking? Peels and stuff like that. And we start drinking this craft beer, and they're yelling at us, "That's not real beer." And we're like, "You don't know what you're talking about." So where does that
Schaefer and Rheingold was in my house growing up.
Yeah, right.
Narragansett Malt.
Yeah.
Right.
But Dad was an Olympia drinker. Yeah.
Yeah. But now you look at it, we're starting to see the trend, not to just gainsay what Doug said about the craze haze never going anywhere. It may. We're starting to see a shift in the trends. We're starting to see the older styles come back. Czech and German Pilsners are everywhere now. Mm-hmm. We're starting to see milds. We're starting to see ESBs. More and more breweries are starting to make these because people are actually, I think, dare I say it, starting to get sick and tired of any IPAs. If you look at it, one of the kings of any IPAs, Treehouse, have gotten into the lager and Pilsner game in a very strong way, in a beautiful way. They have got some amazing beers that they're making. Their Schwarzbier is fantastic. The Czech Pilsner is fantastic. I think John may have pulled something out of the fridge there to prove the point here.
Well, it's actually not. I mean, yeah, their Tomave Pivo, Treehouse's Tomave Pivo is just it's amazing. They make a great ESB, mild, dark mild, alt beer. They're brewing really, really, really good beers that are non, hazies right now. But I just happen to have these delivered. They were muled back to me by a man who shall remain by the name of Corey. That was my daughter Rachel's boyfriend, and they went up to Boston a few weeks ago, and he brought back some beer for me. But it's Treehouse. It's a Scotch ale, and it says, if you look at it, it says barley beer on it. Wow! All right, so that's the label for it. And then the other one is Cozy. It's another one of my favorite styles of Baltic Porter.
That's a great beer.
Yeah.
So Cody bought you Cozy. Nice.
Corey bought me Cozy.
Corey bought you Cozy. Yeah. So they're doing. So if anybody who thought that Treehouse we're only any IPAs and sticky stouts. They're starting to change.
Make no mistake, they still brew 30 hazy IPAs.
Oh hell yeah! And they still brew Julius, and I
Right.
make fun of it if you will. I do love that beer. It's a great beer.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
But they're in the lager game now.
I mean, there's breweries surviving out there. Jack's Abbey does anything but those hazy IPAs, right? They're doing nothing but
Sure.
lagers. Down here in Georgia, we've got Tucker. We've got a couple other breweries that do nothing but old school classic European styles.
Mhm.
If you do love, I think one of the great things about craft beer is that if you look, even if the fads are not putting out what you particularly enjoy, if you look hard enough, you will find the stuff you like. And
Yep.
we've got, in Western North Carolina, I mean, there's old school classic malty, resiny, grapefruity IPAs like you wouldn't believe, and Appalachian Mountain Longleaf IPA. Nantahala does Noonday IPA, and there's a bunch of others. Sweetwater here in Atlanta just put out an Imperial 420 that is a classic double IPA in the old style with again, it actually has malt to it. Imagine that, a beer that has malt.
Imagine that.
And those great resiny piney hops. So you can find the stuff. You got to look. And I think that things move in circles. People will get sick of. Remember Session IPA, right? Well, you don't see those anymore, right?
Yeah.
So people will get sick of stuff, and they'll start to look for something else, and they may gravitate towards some of the older stuff.
And there's a reason for that. It's not just as far as the session IPA thing goes. It's not. I think, my personal opinion is, it's not just the fact that they're more into the hazies, on that side of things. But most of the session IPAs were 4.2.
Yeah.
In that general vicinity, at this point in time,
What does that say?
4.2,
4.2.
and that's not a session IPA. That's a session beer for double IPA drinkers.
Yes,
Get it straight.
Session ale. Because it's not an IPA because it's brewed with Kolsch yeast.
Right. So in any event, but in this time at this particular point in time, 5.5 is a sessional beer at this point.
Yeah.
As
5 was considered
not for us, but
a
for
strong
the
brown back then, right?
right.
Because Ubu's I think 5.5, but it was considered a strong brown.
Ubu's 5.4, 5.5, somewhere there.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
But anyway, so I'm. It's as John said, it's an evolving style, but it's not as if the style's evolving. It's just they're adding more arms to the style.
Well, that's evolving.
What do you guys think of cold IPA, which is the latest fad, I think?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
combination of the style evolving and the drinkers evolving. I mean, the younger drinkers are coming at it from a different angle than guys like us are, or were back in the day.
I got a quick story that's going to make both of you laugh, and I just got to tell you really quick. I'm at a brewery. I'm not going to say which.
Both of you, so one of us is not going to laugh.
Well, you've heard the story before. So.
Okay. I may still laugh.
You may still laugh. Anyway, I'm at a brewery. I'm not going to say which, but I'm at a brewery several years ago, probably say 4 years ago. And it's later on a weeknight. I had stopped in for a beer, and I'm just BSing with the bartender. It's just the two of us in there. He's about to close about an hour early because nobody's there. These two, I'll say kids, but 22, 23, walk in, right?
He's right. I've heard this 3 times already.
One has already clearly been there before, and the other one had not. So the one that had walks in, orders his beer, walks away. The other one's standing there, and there's 24 taps up there. And he's looking. And finally, the bartender that I was talking to says, hang on a second, walks over. He says, let me ask you a question. Can I help you? Can I narrow it down for you a little bit? He's like, yeah, maybe. He says, what kind of styles are you into? He says, I love IPAs. I'm a huge IPA fan. He says, all right, fine. We have 7 IPAs up there. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. It's slow. I'm going to give you a little taste of each one. When you find one you like, stop me. That's the one you're going to get. He says, sounds good. First one he pours him is the flagship West Coast, right? Pours him a little sip. He takes it, puts it in his mouth, almost does a spit take. He says, this is disgusting. It's so bitter. What the hell are you giving me here? The guy said, I thought you said you liked IPAs.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. You don't like IPAs. You like orange juice.
Yes.
Anyway, so I just had to say that. But yeah, it's an evolving style. And you know what? If as the median age lowers and that's what they want, you give it to them. But doesn't mean the other styles are going away and are going anywhere. And as Dave said before, a lot of them are coming back, and I'm really happy about that. Really happy about it.
It's making us all of us geezers and curmudgeons happy.
This is true,
for sure.
For Corey, and he's 25, right? He's 25 years old to come back with a Baltic Porter and a Scotch Ale for me that he liked. That tells me something that I mean. He's.
You might be teaching him right.
I might be teaching him a little bit. He might be learning a little bit things, but in all fairness, he is the beer buyer in a rather large craft beer store. But that's besides the point. But anyway, but I digress.
We have digressed all the way.
We have
left
digressed.
field.
This has been the digression episode.
This is very big. We'll call this digression. That's all it needs to be. Digression.
You need to make a beer called digression.
We might have to do that. We might just have to do that, and it'll be a collab between all the four of us and Matt.
How about title digression?
Title digression. We could do that. We could certainly do that.
I like the role of that.
I do like that.
Title digression.
All right.
Actually, it's really hard to say.
Title digression.
Yeah. Title digression. I guess not.
Title digression.
Title digression.
Say it fast 5 times. See if you can do it.
No, I'm not going to.
Anyway. All right. You know what? I think at some point we're going to talk about bourbon. But before we get there, why don't we do our top 3 list?
Okay.
Well, we had another topic first before we get to our top 3.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about it. Dave, take the lead on that one. Go ahead.
So, as you know, we always start the show off with whatever day it is. We talk about National Bourbon Day. We're going to get to that because we all have bourbon near us, I think. I think all of us do.
Mine's right here.
Mine's right. I've actually poured mine already. I'm getting ready. We talked about Pop Goes the Weasel Day.
True.
And we introduced everyone to Sly. I still kind of smell like them. They are smelly animals. At any rate.
Oh, yeah.
But another thing is we want to wish all of our GIs out there a happy birthday to the Army. It is the Army's birthday today.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to discuss a little bit about veteran-owned breweries. Now, we know of one. John's wearing their hat and their shirt.
Yes.
And I have their glass.
Our brewery is actually a veteran-owned brewery. In part, our one partner, Jim, is a Gulf War vet. He was
very nice.
Yeah. So
with that, in New Jersey, though, I think one of the first veteran-owned brewery was Backward Flag, was it not?
Backward Flag was, yeah. Tory Fisher.
Tory Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen, John and Tom, do you know of any veteran-owned breweries in your area?
Well, I was going to say in your area, I don't know if they're veteran-owned, but on that theme, you have Tun Tavern, the Marine.
Tun Tavern, right?
Tun Tavern,
Atlantic
absolutely.
City, right? Actually, I went there a number of years ago. And
I was just there a week and a half ago.
We have Service here in Savannah. And they make some really great beers. Rally Point.
They got a great logo too. I love the logo.
Yeah, they do have.
Here's from them, John. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in Doug's area, there's. I'll give a shout out. I think there's one Four Goats and I can't think of the rest of their name, but they've got Coast Guard. Ownership there. My dad was in the Coast Guard, so got to give a shout out to them. But
one of my favorite names of a veteran-owned brewery is out of Sacramento. It's called At Ease Brewing Company.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Gotta love what they did with that. I haven't had any of their beer, but I like the name.
Very nice.
So, just a salute to the Army. My father and my grandfather were both Army.
There you go.
My dad as well. Yeah.
There you go.
My dad is Bronze Star from World War II. Yeah.
Wow.
And my son's in the Air Force, and as we know, the Air Force was born out of the Army, just the way the Marines were born out of the Navy.
There you go. There you go. And for that note, Jim is actually in. He's a Marine. Jim is a Marine.
Yes. I'm sorry. There's no such thing as an ex-Marine.
No. That's why I said. I didn't say ex. I said he's a Marine.
He's no longer active, but he is not an ex-Marine. He is a Marine.
He's a Marine, exactly.
I worked with a guy who was in the Marines, and they're so conditioned. I love to do this to him, and he hated it every time I did it. We'd be sitting in the lunchroom, and I just yell, "Marine, first rule of order." And he'd just jump up and start reciting it. And then he'd just look, "Will you stop doing that?"
That's not nice, man. That's not nice.
That's not good.
Oh, it was entertaining, though.
There it is. 6 beers and a goat is
Six beers and a goat. Yeah.
yeah.
There you
Coast Guard vets, 1 Navy vet. Great. Yeah. I don't know if I told you guys this story the last time, but my wife almost got us killed in a bar in Portland, Maine. We were in $3 Dewey's, and it was full of sailors,
Right.
Navy, and we both had a few. It was in the day. My wife doesn't drink anymore, but in those days she did. And our stepdaughter was in the Air Force, and she was over in Saudi Arabia at the time, and she went up to one of the sailors and she said, "Are you in the Navy?" And the guy's like, "Yes, ma'am, I am." And she's like, "Well, that's great, but my daughter's in the Air Force, and the Air Force rocks, man." And we I'm like, "Barbara, we are leaving now. Let's get the heck out of here." So, look on that guy's face. I could tell he was not happy with that answer.
Well, it would have been a completely different thing if you said it to him. So.
Yeah, I guess it would. Yeah. But he still didn't like it. But.
This is true. Yeah, you just said it. She doesn't drink anymore. I don't drink anymore either. I'm drinking less either.
There it is.
There it is.
And and along those lines, one of my favorite statements is.
What is that?
Statements. One is.
One of your favorite statements.
Statements is, "I'm not an alcoholic. An alcoholic needs a beer.
Mm-hmm.
I already have one."
There you go. That's a nice pint glass.
Well, the other line to that is alcoholics go to meetings.
Yeah, that is a nice.
Yeah. Yes, Alcoholics Anonymous is for quitters.
Hey, this is our meeting.
Have to get you one.
Yes,
exactly. So, anyway, all right. So, shall we do the top 3?
Let's hit the top 3.
Let's hit the top 3, shall we? All right. Tonight's top 3 along the lines of our conversation so far.
I opened my third beer.
Oh, what is your third beer? Right? Open it up.
Put that third beer away. Stay focused.
So
well, his second beer was the same as his first beer. He needed 2 of them.
I did 2 of them. So I just got back from Florida on Saturday. True to summer in Florida, it rained pretty much the whole time we were there. Went to the zoo, bought the tickets, got about 200 yards into the zoo. The skies opened up. We walked around, got drenched. Finally left, got to the cars, and the rain stopped.
There you go.
Florida.
Yep. That happened to me at Disney once.
Yeah. See,
walked in, was there a half an hour, and the skies opened up for literally an hour. We were huddled inside a gift shop for an hour.
You got to find one of the places to drink.
We were nowhere near. You didn't think I wasn't looking?
My brother and I waited out a storm at the bar near in Animal Kingdom, right by the what do they call the one that's the Himalayan style themed ride?
Oh, the
roller coaster. The Abominable Snowman or something like that.
I'll think of it.
Anyway, but we were at the bar drinking beers. But so this beer that I have, this is the only beer I brought back from Florida, and I can never remember the name of the brewery. And they've got like black on purple for their text. This is just bad label design here. I'll give them that. Orchestrated Minds. And this one was it Peanut to My Jelly? It is a peanut butter stout, because we were talking about how we just, as Americans, we like to put all different kinds of flavors and all kinds of different things. We do. This is actually pretty damn yummy. I got to give them that.
That's Expedition Everest, by the way.
Expedition Everest. That's it. Everest. Yeah. So I spoke to the brewer down there. I'm John. I got to talk to, because we may want to get this guy on the show. He, the poor guy, married someone from New England.
Poor guy.
Poor guy. Because we know those people from New England are a little on the crazy side, right, John?
Yeah, my wife could tell you some stories about that.
But he's a stout guy. And he is actually kind of stout.
I was going to say he's a stout guy, or
He's pretty stout, but he likes to brew stouts, but he also brews the IPA. So he's a stout in the IPA house. He does some sours, and the sours are actually pretty damn good too.
maybe he can invent a style New England hazy stout.
Ooh, New England hazy sour stout.
There you go.
So at any rate,
please, anybody listen to this, please don't try that.
No,
please, I beg of you, don't try that. Let it go.
But if you do, please do a seltzer version of it.
Oh, yes. And an agent on large amounts of vanilla. Anyway.
Oh, yes. And oak staves.
There you go. Quick note on that Expedition Everest. First time on the roller coaster, I had no idea that it went backwards. And I was sitting in the front car with my son.
You're one of those.
And it pulls up. I see the tracks going up. I'm like, oh, it dawned on me. I'm like, oh no, we're back.
That ride gave me a headache.
Yeah.
Just because they had the thing over your head and you just slam your head into it. Anyway, so we were doing the top threes, right?
We were doing the top threes. Okay. Tonight's top three list is going to be top 3 favorite beers of all time. This is very difficult. Top 3 favorite beers of all time. So let's kick it off with who wants to go first between John and Tom? Who wants to go first?
I'm ready.
You got it. All right, Tom. Kick it off.
Again, these aren't in 1, 2, 3 order.
In any order, yeah.
The 3. The first one is a local to me. Is from Show Me Brewing. Show Me Brewing is one of those interesting concepts. It's half home brew shop, half tap room. They have a beer that they usually comes out just around Black Friday called Sleeping Bear, which is an India Dark, which I know the kids don't like a big black IPA that actually tastes like a fucking beer these days. But that's what this beer is. I mean, it's big, dark malts, a hop to high heaven. I mean, it usually runs about 10 to 100 plus IBUs. I mean, the thing will kill you if you're not paying attention.
You mean like Maharaja?
Yeah. It's just a brutal beer. So the other 2, I think, are no longer in the breweries are in business. I think the breweries are defunct. But the first one is Grand Teton Pursuit of Poppiness, which was an Imperial Red IPA.
I remember that beer. That was a damn good beer.
Arguably one of the greatest beer names of all time, Pursuit of Poppiness. But that beer was just amazing. And the other one is the R.J. Rocker's Black Pearl, which was the first India Dark or Black IPA that I ever had. And again, it was an Imperial version ran about 9% and change, about 100 IBUs, and that thing was just dangerous as all hell. But
That's a great beer, Tom. That is an awesome beer.
Yeah. I can't find it anymore, so I don't know if it's not being made or if I just can't get it in my neck of the woods. But, oh, man, that Black Pearl was so gorgeous, man.
They're still in business.
Yeah, they're out of Georgia, right?
Not Georgia, South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Still making the beer.
But I don't know if they make that beer.
Yeah, I've seen it in a long time. But, boy, I love that beer, the Black Pearl. That thing was gorgeous. Then the Pursuit of Poppiness. But then I got that local, like I said, that does that Sleeping Bear, which is absolutely brilliant, man.
Well, the first Black IPA, was that? There's some argument over who did the first one. I always thought of Sublimely Self-Righteous was the
It
first.
is still being made. R.J. Rockers is still making Black Pearl.
They are? Okay, well, that's good.
The first India Dark was Black Watch IPA from Vermont Pub and Brewery.
Yep.
And kudos to Tom for calling it an India Dark. I despise Cascadian Dark. No, Cascadian implies Pacific Northwest, and you guys had nothing to do with this. It's an East Coast New England style, and don't you be stealing my beer stuff. It can't be a black IPA because it can't be black and pale at the same time. And so obviously, I like the name.
An India Dark Ale. There you go.
I just usually go with Black Ale.
And actually, New Amsterdam of New York did a one called India Dark Ale. An
IDA. That's it'll be an IDA.
And one of my favorite Dogfish Heads was India Brown.
Oh yeah, that was a great beer too.
India Brown is a good beer.
Still is. Actually, you know what? I don't know if they changed the recipe, but the last time I had it, I wasn't all that fond of it. So
I can't
don't
remember
know
last time I've seen it.
It's been a while since I had it. I used to have that. Used to be one of my go-tos.
Yeah.
For Dogfish Head wise.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That and Palo Santo.
Sure. And Raison d'Etre.
I know you love that one. I've just never understood a beer that throws raisin. Let's throw more raisin in it.
Yeah.
The style is raisin.
And
Why add more raisin?
Extra.
No, that's the extra. The extra.
So anyway, okay, John.
Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm going to put them in order. 2 of them are still made. One of them is not. Number 3 would be Geary's Pale Ale. We talked earlier about Grady McDuff's. Grady's was the first brew pub, but even before Grady's was Geary's, the first microbrewery in New England. It's a Ringwood Ale, just like the stuff that Grady's made. Just like I probably could put in, if it was a longer list, there would be something from Middle Ages in their Ringwood as well. But yeah, I love Geary's. Every time I go to, which again, it's been a while, but last time I was in New England, I went to the brewery and I loaded the car with Geary's to bring back. Number 2 is the beer that's not made anymore, and that's Catamount Christmas Ale. That was like Sierra Nevada Celebration on steroids. Catamount, unfortunately, we talk about. Yeah, I miss Catamount. They were just. Well, I think one of the biggest mistakes Harpoon has made is that they bought the brewery, but they have never done anything with the brands. I mean, they've done a couple of one-offs. Catamount Porter, I think they brought back shortly, and Catamount Porter was probably one of the best porters of all time in my opinion. But Reminiscence could be part of that. But the IPA was just, it was like super malty. It was super resiny, piney, grapefruity. I remember one year, this was when, this taught us in those days, the true origin of IPAs, that they were beers that actually were meant to be able to be aged, right? People don't get that today. And the IPA, you can't age them, but the original ones were made for that. But
you can age them, but you probably shouldn't.
You probably shouldn't, right? But
well, that's well. I mean, you talk about a Dogfish Head 120. Actually, the longer you sit on that, the better it actually is. But it's also 20% alcohol. So
yeah, it's not. It's more of a barley wine.
It's a barley wine. It's not an IPA.
But the Catamount IPA was amazing, and I have fond memories of drinking it. And I remember going into a local liquor store in July, and they had a Christmas in July sale, and they had like the stuff marked down to $8 a case. And in July, it was like we didn't know, is it going to be any good? It's July, right? And then it was phenomenal. So that's a beer that if I had a Wayback Machine, Mr. Peabody and I would head off to 1991 and go get some Catamount Christmas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then I guess number 1 would have, and this list is always tough. We talked about this earlier, but Doppelbocks are my favorite style. German Doppelbocks are my favorite Doppelbocks, and Augustiner Brau Maximator Doppelbock.
Wow, I haven't had that in ages.
That's great beer.
Wow.
So that would be the number 1.
Typing that in
Right.
there.
Looks like I'm up.
Looks like you're up.
Usually John calls it. John's typing something.
I'm typing what
He's entering all the stuff.
I'm entering. Yeah, I keep
because we keep track of this data.
Okay.
So I've got a bunch of friggin' honorable mentions.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, one of them though is actually because we were gonna talk about, at one point we were thinking about talking about defunct beers. So I'm going to mention this as an honorable mention because it was one of those beers where you look at the label, you see the ingredients, and this could be a god-awful wreck of a beer. Or it could be something interesting. So I picked it up, and I was amazed at how good it was. And it was Ballast Point's Indra Canindra.
This is an honorable mention.
Yeah. It is. It's crazy what's in that beer. It's like cumin, coriander, cayenne, whole bunch of things that begin with C, if I remember correctly. And I was surprised because you look at the label, you read everything. Oh, kaffir lime leaf. That actually begins with a K, but still got the hard C sound. I was surprised with everything that was in there that it all came together. It was just a beautifully brewed beer with all the flavors they put in it. So we'll throw that as an honorable mention.
I think I described that one as an Indian buffet in a bottle. I really,
yeah, right.
I really liked it. Yeah,
I was really surprised that it came together with all those ingredients in it. So that beer always impressed me. Another honorable mention I'm going to put up there. I'm only got 2 honorable mentions, and that's Beauregard by the brewery. Beauregard is their blueberry sour. It's absolutely fantastic, and it took me a while to understand why they called it Beauregard until I was watching Willy Wonka and realized Violet Beauregard turned into a blueberry. It's like, oh, you genius son of a bitches.
You really, I mean,
I didn't get it right away.
okay.
So, at any rate, so on to my actual 3. We talked about sticky ass stouts, those stouts that we've done so much to that they actually
Is that a new style?
sticky ass stouts should be.
Is it sticky ass stouts or sticky ass stouts?
No, sticky ass stouts.
Okay.
The hyphen goes between the sticky and the ass, not between the ass and the stout.
So you got a couple different flavors going on there.
Yeah, no, an
Some of which
stout,
you really don't want.
An ass stout is something else entirely, and it's probably related to a label from Kentucky. The brown note.
Shut up. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
Next.
So one of the first beers that I ever had from Toppling Goliath was SR71. And this beer, it's a phenomenal beer. It's a ton of vanilla. This thing pours like motor oil. Love that beer.
It is a very good beer. I will give you that.
Have not found that since the first time I had it, actually, but that one stuck with me because it's sticky. At any rate, the next one, and I'm going to get this in the right order here. Creek 100% Lambic Bio by Cantillon. Creek is one of my favorite styles. I love taking a sour as fuck beer to begin with, and let's throw some sour cherries in it. Let those dance in there. Let it age for a while. Let all the must off that cherry come through, and it's just a beautiful beer. Last time I had it was actually in Italy. It's really hard to get it here now. I mean, what do you have to trade for it? It doesn't even make it into this country anymore, does it?
Not many do. So I try to get over to. I mean, that's another reason why it really pisses me off of what happened with Spite and Devil, because they did a Swansea Day every year.
And then we get stuff. So
not anymore.
We've mentioned this a few times on the show. If you go on to Untapped on the PC version and you pull this beer
the
up,
politically correct version or the personal computer version?
Personal computer.
All right, I want to make sure. Clarification.
Is there any? Unfortunately, it's all unfortunately PC for the most part. But I'm the number one drinker of this beer because I love this beer, and it's because I was told I had to be the number one drinker by the brewer of this beer. But still, it's one of my
choice whether you liked it or not.
One of my favorite beers of all time, and that is what I've been drinking. That is Boat. And Boat stands.
Many years ago.
Yeah, I may have to get you another one there, Tom.
Yeah.
This one, and I still remember your review of it. But this actually stands for best of all time. I don't know if anybody knows that.
No, it doesn't.
Which was not the point of it. But I think that's what it should mean, best of all time.
There you go. All right.
So those will be my 3.
Those are your 3. All right. I like you, have 2 honorable mentions. They just they have to be said in this category, in this top 3. They have to be, for me, they have to be mentioned, but they just missed the top 3 for only literally a couple of reasons. I honestly, I will say that they're probably a 3-way tie for 3rd. All right. But I'll mention these 2 in honorable mention land, if you will, and then on to the others.
To preview tomorrow's podcast, get on with it.
Get on with it. I got you. All right. Honorable mentions, Weihenstephaner Hef.
Oh.
Okay.
Classic.
A beer that's been brewed in another 18 years will be being brewed for 1,000 years. I think they dialed it in.
Yeah.
I think they got it.
It's older than our country.
Exactly. Much older than our country. In fact, almost 3 times as old as our country.
Older than a lot of countries on the planet.
Right.
Hope to live that long. 2040.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, almost 4 times as old as the country. Anyway, and the other one is Schneider Weiss Tap 6 Aventinus. That would be.
Now I remember.
Yeah. You
Making
remember
Johnny
you
jealous.
waking me up at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning with a picture of you drinking it from Tap 6 at Schneiderpreis. Thank you.
In Munich.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Right off the Marienplatz. With some Wurst.
With some Wurst. You had to have some Wurst.
It was not the worst.
It was not the worst Wurst?
Nope.
No. Anyway, okay. See where we went there. Okay, so my top 3. And I'm going to put them in order, but, I mean, this is a very loose order. You can really move these around anywhere, but I'll put them in order.
As loose as a what, Tom?
I said
Would that be something from Tijuana? Tijuana?
Yes. Loose
There you go.
is different.
Exactly. All right, here we go. Your reach, sticker.
Yeah, I knew this one's coming.
Speaking of sticky, and I'm going to throw at such. I mean, I'm a huge alt beer fan, and this is fantastic. But I mean, your reach is just yeah, exactly. And when we were up in Portland, Dave and I last.
I hate this story.
August. Dave sat there and he ordered 3 different beers, and every time the server came back,
we're at
Navari
Res.
Navari Res in Portland, and
every beer I ordered, they're out of.
And I ordered your Urige, and he says, so after the third one, he's like, you know what? I'll have a Urige sticker too. And she goes back. She goes, that was the last one.
Oh.
So everybody on the planet who's ever been there loves Navari Res. Me, not so much.
It was the first time he was there too. So anyway, and on a side note, not throwing it in there, but a very good New Jersey sticker alt was Heavyweights, Stick and Jab.
That's
it's gone. I mean, they've been gone 15 years. Heavyweight, 16 years now.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so I just want to throw that there. Anyway, number 2, mentioned it before, Sierra Nevada Celebration Ale.
Mm-hmm.
I drink more of that beer every year than any other single beer. Now, maybe not.
It might change now.
It might change now, but in any event,
now that you're making your own,
right? And then might have something to do with that. But.
Might have something to do with it. And
anyway,
today's episode brought to you by.
But today's episode is brought to you by Coastal Brew Works. Anyway,
actually, we're not kidding. It actually is.
There you go. So. And then number 1 beer. Actually, I had to put it honestly, just edged out Sierra Nevada Celebration is Guten Caros Cuvée Vendekaiser Imperial Dark, the quad. It's
that beer doesn't suck.
Good beer. There's zero, as Matt says, there's zero suck in that beer.
Yes.
So anyway, so those are my top 3. So yeah, I you know what? I got to be honest with you. In all of the beers that we've talked about and everybody's top 3 here, there's not one that I can say is I wouldn't take. You know,
no,
I would. They're all fantastic beers. So kudos to the 3 of you.
We have Doug put his 3 up.
Doug did his. Hold on, let me throw that up. What we got here?
While John's in the bathroom.
While John's over there, so we'll do his 3. The Boston Beer Company version of New Albion Ale. I bought 5 cases.
Oh, I agree with him on that. Yeah,
damn good beer. Yep.
The New Albion Ale. That was fantastic. I actually probably went through about a case of that myself. I did. That was a fantastic beer. You're right on that one. 2 Rodenbach Grand Cru. Yeah, how can you go wrong with Rodenbach Grand Cru?
You can't.
No. And 1 Guinness Special Export Commission for John Martin for the Belgian market. Can't say as I ever had it. I will take your word for it.
Yeah, never had that either.
Sounds fantastic. And honorable mention, and I do have to actually. There you go.
Some Rodenbach.
There you go. John's back. I'll just breeze through these again really quick for John when he sits down. Can you hear us, John?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, Doug put up his 3 too. He said his number 3 is the Boston Beer Company version of New Albion Ale. He bought 5 cases. It's amazing. It's a great beer.
I went through 3 cases of that beer.
I bought a case. I had a case of that. I did. 2 is Rodenbach Grand Cru, and 1 is Guinness Special Export Commission for John Martin for the Belgian market. I told him I didn't have that one. So, and I do want to put this up. He had 1 honorable mention, and I do agree with him on this because they make actually really good beers. Here, we'll put it up here. Andex, Andexer Doppelbock. The Dunkel's very good too, but the Doppelbock is fantastic from Andex.
Yeah, that is
absolutely,
great.
absolutely. So there you go. Cool. That works for me. All right. Do we pour a little bourbon, or
We pour a little out for our homies.
and pour a little out for our homies and have
No,
a
I pour some down my throat for my homies. And actually, no, well, there is something flooding my glass. What the hell? Yeah, it's in the bourbon, so it's sterilized.
It's sterilized. It's fine.
I don't know what it is, but it's
There you
going
go.
down the hatch.
Happens, man.
No, I poured myself some Four Roses, the single
Very nice.
barrel. Most people who know me as a bourbon drinker know that I love the single barrel. What I love about it is it's like potluck. You don't know what you're going to get until you open the bottle and pour some in your face.
There you go.
Yeah, I cannot disagree with that logic.
And I love it because sometimes, you'll get a bottle that's like licking the bottom of a telephone pole with all the creosote in it. That happens every now and then. But for the most part, you get, a beautiful bottle of caramel and maybe a touch of citrus to it. Just amazing wood notes. So, Tom drinks his on the rock.
I don't
Rocks, the rock.
On the rock.
pour it on the rocks. I'm pretty sure.
How did you fit Dwayne Johnson in that glass?
It's hot, man. It's hot. I went with the big globe mold today. Typically, you see me drinking me, but man, it is hot.
I always drink neat. But what I want to do is said pouring one out for my homie, but I'm going to pour it down my face for my homie. Kevin McCoon, I don't even know if I'm saying his last name right. We talked a little about it before the show came on. Kevin was a regular at the Cloverleaf Tavern. Him and I, we met when he finished his PhD and I had finished my MBA. We did that the same night, and that's when we met, and that got me into the whole circle of the Cloverleaf Tavern drinkers. And he passed a few months ago. So I'd like to just cheers, Kev. Godspeed.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So now that I brought the whole room down,
All right.
what are you drinking? What are you drinking there, Tom?
I've got the Smooth Ambler.
Smooth Ambler. I love them.
It's a weeded bourbon at 100 proof, and this thing is just incredible.
That's the weeded bourbon.
It's a weeded bourbon. So a weeded bourbon tends to be a little sweeter than a traditional bourbon, which I'm not typically a big fan, but this one is done well.
Oh, Smooth Ambler does everything well.
And well, the thing is, like I said earlier, you typically see me drink meat, but it's so hot, man. I want the big glow hole. You get that right amount of cold. You get that right amount of melt off, and you get to where I call the sweet spot, where you get all those sugars going right to the surface, and you get this big drink.
See, my glow ball is typically shaped like the Death Star because I've got that mold.
Anyways, I digress. But yeah, you get a lot of honey. You might find some maple in there as well. You're going to find some nice oak and some cinnamon in the finish. It's just a gorgeous whiskey.
Nice.
Beautiful. We lost John again.
He where did he go?
Through that door.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, the second one
the
second one over from Brady.
I think it's a time machine.
He went to a time machine.
He went back to get some new Albion.
It's a time machine. I don't know.
If only he could get it to us.
So I'm curious to see if he brings something out.
I'm still curious as to what's floating in my glass.
There you go. Well, on that note, I've been bought this bottle.
Balcones Texas Pot Still Bourbon.
Oh, I've had that one. Actually, I've had that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I poured it. Just cracked it.
You have it yet? I don't want to give you any. I don't want to, spoil the surprise.
No, it's actually no. I've had a couple sips already. I'm liking it. I'm digging it. Yeah.
So if I'm remembering that one correctly, it has a very spicy finish. Am I right?
A little bit of spice to it. Yep.
Yeah.
It's definitely spice. I'm definitely getting plenty of oak in it. Little vanilla.
Oh, yeah, it was getting a lot of vanilla. That one in particular, I remember getting more toffee than caramel. And
Yeah, there's not that much caramel in it. It's more toffee than caramel, that's for sure. But there's more vanilla than either.
I was getting cinnamon, but I was also picking up some allspice and maybe a little clove and cayenne in that one as well. I've had a very spicy finish.
Hit the nail on the head with all of those right there. Yep, exactly. I'm liking this. You'll see me now that I cracked it. You'll see me drinking this on Friday. So, well, I'll probably have another one with you on Friday on one of your shows.
I need to get a new bottle. I've been kind of sitting on like the 3 or 4 bottles for a while now.
There you go.
Need some fresh.
Need something fresh. Well, this was good. Well, you know what, John, are you joining us with some bourbon, or are you just finishing your beer?
Yeah, I'm just sorry about that, guys. I'm experiencing technical difficulties. I got some Augustiner. I don't really drink whiskey. I'm just a straight beer guy. So
Fair enough.
But
Fair
when
enough.
we talked about the top 3, I had a Augustiner on hand. So I actually pretty much always have it. So that's what I got.
JW Weeds glass, nice.
Actually, yeah, look at that. I caught that right before you put it down. That's great.
Yeah, that's a beautiful glass right there.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do the glass match whenever possible. So.
There you go. That's
This show has so much class. I want to finish it with one more classy beer.
Go for it.
Okay.
Bring it closer.
What is it, Tom?
Is that a Tecate? No. Stag.
Stag.
Bad beer.
Little stag. There you go.
There we go.
Might as well be Tecate.
I got an early day in the morning.
Morning does come early. Actually, I was going to have one of these two, and they're actually pretty good too. But I didn't. I had them off, but right there, it's
your favorite brewery.
Night Shift. Yeah, it's Night Heavy. They did Night Light, so it was a light lager. So they decided to do Night Heavy, and I got to tell you, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So the first time I did the show with you guys, I thought it was going to die the next morning.
Oh, please, John, did you ever hear that story?
No.
Oh my
I'm
God!
looking forward to it now.
First time Tom did the show with us, we probably went a little over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
yeah.
probably only had about an hour and 20 minutes of beer, and then we went on to bourbon. By the end of the show, Dave was snoring.
It's probably about that. And I wake up in the morning. I wake up to a message from Tom going, "I'm not going to lie. Morning hurts."
Yeah.
It hurt, man. I was at work, so I have to walk into the office. I got to pretend everything's fine, and then I go down to my basement where I do most of my work. And I just put my head down on the table and go, "Oh my God! I hope nobody looks for me."
But I got to give him credit because the morning after was the first time and the only time I've ever called out of work due to a hangover. Because this hangover was...
Oh, it was epic, yeah.
Well, you got to think about it, John. Tom and I have known each other for quite a while on social media.
Mm-hmm.
About the same for you and I, to be honest, John.
Right. And this is the first time we had the chance to drink together. So, of course, what are we doing? We're trying to outdrink each other. And
I was just sitting there enjoying what I was drinking and watching this unfold.
Watching Tom and I drink each other under the table.
Which is pretty much what happened, yes.
Oh, it was a good show.
That was good. That was a while ago. That was
a while ago.
That was a while ago.
It's probably it might be over a year now.
It's well over a year. It's over a year and a half now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even after that, I come back.
And exactly.
All right. Whatever's in my glass is going down my throat now.
Just drink it.
Whatever
Shut
the
up and drink
floater
it.
is. Do you want to see the floater? Can you see that? I don't know if you can see it.
Was it in the bottle or was it in your glass when you poured the
It
bottle?
may have been in the glass. I don't know what it was, but
Just drink it. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
You're making my OCD go nuts right about now. Yeah,
you would have had to fish that out of the glass first, Tom.
yeah.
I got a spoon, fished it out. I still would have drank the rest of it, but I would have gotten it out of there. So.
I poured it into another glass, straighten that out. Yeah, I can't deal with it.
Tom, I can let me blow your OCD out of the water right here. So, talking about my friend Kev, I remember one time we're sitting in the Cloverleaf, And the Cloverleaf, and I don't want to disparage Cloverleaf at all. I love this place. They train their staff very well, but there is this one waitress.
There's always one.
Kev had ordered a new beer. He wasn't finished with his old beer. There were two different beers, two entirely different styles. She comes back with the new beer, takes his glass, and pours the old beer into the glass. He was copacetic about it. He was okay with it, and I was freaking the fuck out. I'm like, this is no.
Freak my shit out, yeah.
No. This is a faux pas that is inexcusable.
Did she want to get her 5-cent deposit back for the glassware behind the bar? I mean,
I don't know what the hell was going on. That was just, I had never seen anything like that before in my life. I've never even seen that at like a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
Much less one of the best craft beer bars in New Jersey.
That's great.
That's crazy. On that note, Doug Smith actually wrote it. He goes, not cold bourbon, but it is. Jack Daniels bonded, 100 proof. Jack Daniels, his faith is restored. Cheers to your friend, Dave.
Thanks, Doug.
And he said,
I've been looking for that bonded. I can't find it in my neck of the woods, but yeah, we're going to call that close enough.
I've had the Sinatra.
Yeah.
And the Sinatra to me tastes like they tried to make a whiskey with a wheat ale.
Okay.
Is what it tasted like to me. But
yeah.
Right?
I've had the Sinatra. It's very overpriced. And
It's not as good.
Yeah.
It's great, but it's not as good as what they price it. It wouldn't be National Bourbon Day without me tossing a little out of this bottle.
There you go. Go for it. Have a little blends.
No, Dave.
Are you going to use the same glass, though?
I don't have another one here.
You already drank whatever was in it. Just pour it.
You're freaking me out, Dave. Fucking glass, man. We're not animals, Dave.
I just want to point out. The glass I'm drinking my bourbon out of right now, right there. Can you see the logo?
Oh no. Joe, no. James would be so proud of you.
Yes, of course, yeah.
James is drinking bourbon.
Speaking of many hazy IPAs, the other half would probably be second to Treehouse as far as that goes.
Oh, I just got a text from my son. We're supposed to be going to Yellowstone in less than a month, and the whole park is closed down because of insane flooding.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Insane flooding. Is that a new type of flooding?
For them.
It's crazy.
There's no water in the park. It's just insanity flooding through the park.
Weyerbacher insanity. The fool has finally lost it. We've come full circle in the show now.
There you go.
The grunge band in the '90s, right? Insane flooding.
Yes.
That sounds about right.
Yes.
Did they have mohawks?
There you go. Anyway.
Oh my God, I love this bourbon. And you know what? This is how much of it I have left.
Well, hold on to that. Hold on to that until you're about to go get another bottle of it. That's what I say.
If you can find another or afford another bottle of it.
Yeah, Blends has gotten up there, huh?
It's gotten up there, and you can't even find it anymore. It's almost become
as
difficult to find as Pappy.
Good. It's a good $50 bourbon, but if you're paying more than $50, you're paying too much.
Too much, yeah.
There's he's out there, man. It's a $50 bourbon.
I'd pay $65 for it.
I promised myself that this week.
Bourbon top end.
I promised myself last week that within the next couple of weeks I get out and I get another bottle of Bibb and Tucker.
You're not spending as much as I would spend on that.
No, Bibb and Tucker's good. Bibb and Tucker's $50. Bibb and Tucker's $50.
They used to be 35.
Bibb and Tucker?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was 35, 38, somewhere in there.
And people started realizing, oh, bourbon's fun to drink, and all bourbon prices went up.
Well, that's like Old Fitzgerald.
Actually, Old Fitzgerald, same
Old Fitzgerald, everybody realized that Old Fitzgerald was every bit as good as Pappy, and all of a sudden it went from $60 a bottle to $300 a bottle. So you can't.
Seriously, back in 2012, the first Old Fitzgerald I bought was under 50. It was $48.95.
Yeah,
nice.
Yep.
In St. Louis, I think you know.
Yeah, all the standards have gone up. All the good ones have gone through the roof.
Yep.
Smooth Amber used to be like an affordable line, but they've gotten up there.
Yep.
Well, see, here's the thing. I bought this. Actually, I bought this bottle for $20 clearance.
Oh,
Really?
You sly dog.
Look at you.
And I buy good beer, but I ain't paying full retail for shit.
There you go. So, on that note, I'll circle back to beer. We're talking about the hazies, that coastal that we've brewed or whatever. We got our third beer coming out.
Nice.
It's just 2 weeks, and it's a Vienna lager. I just wanted to make that point. We're not doing a third hazy. We're doing a Vienna lager. So,
Nice.
so there you go. And it's actually not. There's no base malt in it. It's 95% Weyermann Vienna malt and 5% Munich. That's it.
Really? Nice.
So it's like the
Okay.
Cadillac of Vienna lagers. So
There you go. I'm excited.
there you go. Have to get you guys some. So looking forward to drinking that one. Should be done in just about 2 weeks. So that one's cool.
If you're sending them stuff, throw some boat in there for them.
Yeah, we could work that.
I'm sure they won't complain.
No, I enjoyed that. In fact, I've got almost ready some beers to send you. I'm just waiting for. Have you ever had anything from Occidental in Oregon?
Yes,
I have not.
I
I've
have.
heard of them.
Occidental's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're good, but I've never had everything I've had from them has been excellent. And Craft Shack had their Schwartz beer on, so I got a couple. Of gifts. I got one for me and one for you, and I'll send it back up.
John just drooled.
Dave, please share the one he sends you.
Oh,
Okay,
I should have got an extra one.
No, I'll share with John. We
That's
have.
fine.
It's been. No. We've drank together recently, but it was Coastal Brewworks beer.
Right.
Part of that.
Well, you left too early because after you left, we had a couple of non-coastal Brewworks beers.
Well, if I remember correct, I had to work the next day.
Well, so did I.
Speaking of having to work the next day, guys, I hate to do it, but I got to bow out of here. I got to go.
You're your own boss. I don't want to hear it.
I know.
Tom, it's an hour earlier for you than it is for us.
Yeah,
so.
really. It's
Yeah,
only
really.
8:15.
Come on, you wuss.
30 in the morning. I'm old.
You is.
I'm older than you are.
I think we're all within a few years of each other. So
That's what I love about this show. I'm not the oldest person on it.
this is true. There you go.
Long cover for you, Tom.
I do got to bow out of here. I appreciate y'all having me on. It was awesome being on here with the great Brew Guru.
And to be on with Tom the Beer Whisperer, it's always a pleasure. And howdy do, buckaroos. And have a great night, Tom.
The Beer Whisperer, Beer Evangelist, beer drinker, beer wisdom, all around.
Goodbye.
There
Tom's
you
a
go.
great guy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And master of self-promotion, I should add.
Absolutely.
Hey, take it easy, guys. But I got to go.
Catch up with you on Friday, Tom.
Take
Yep,
care.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was good. But yeah, we're. I'll have to get you some of that. We're pretty excited. We're looking forward to that beer. You know what? The hazies we did. I'll tell you really quick, John. We did one with Sabro Motueka. So it was 5%, heavily oated. So it's got a pillowy, soft mouthfeel. But Sabro Motueka. So we put the lime in the coconut, right?
Yep.
So, and it's really, it's really good coconut and lime flavors, but just from the hops, so it's not overdone. It's really becoming a nice summer, crusher for the kids, as they say, right? And then the other one we did was
Crusher.
the crusher,
Little Bugs Bunny reference.
which is actually my favorite IPA from Alchemist.
I don't think I've ever had the Crusher.
That's a good beer. I like it better than Heady Topper or Fokelmeyer, personally. But in any event, and then the other one we did was a double dry hop, New England 8.5 with Citra Mosaic and Galaxy. So big citrus and tropical fruit, passion fruit. So, but we did dial in enough bitterness and enough IBU just to, have it finish. You got to have a little bitterness in there to have the beer finish, right? It's just going to fade off. So, it's not enough to make the, and I don't say this in a disparaging way, but it's not enough to make the kids say, "Oh my God, it's too bitter." But it's also, it worked well. So, but
both were delicious.
So.
And if you didn't catch our show from there, we had a really fun shtick at the beginning of it.
It was pretty funny. So that's a couple weeks old at this point. So, but yeah, I really love walking down memory lane, John. And yeah, anytime you and or Tom are on, it's it seems to always happen, whether it was intentional like tonight or just just to do it, or just happens, I should say. But I love reminiscing and waxing nostalgic about the beer industry and what it was and where it came from. It's just it makes me happy to have been involved in it for as long as I have.
Yeah,
you're
part of something.
Right.
I'm excited about where beers go, and I don't like all the trends, but I think again it's a big enough table that everybody can have a seat at it and everybody can have something that they like. And I think we can't forget where it came from, and
exactly.
Well, and you look at the 4 people that were on the show today. We've seen some shit, right? All 4 of us got into it real early when the craft beer. Can't even say it was a revolution at the time. It was just kind of a notion to begin with.
Yeah,
right.
Fair enough.
It's like, hey, we want to do this stuff, and people are like, oh. Beer can have flavor, 1, and 2, when it warms up, it doesn't taste like ass.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. And it just started
even taste
growing
better.
from
Right.
right.
Exactly.
In some cases.
Well, you think about it, go all the way back to when, obviously there was a point in time when the 3 of us we didn't know any better. We just knew macros, right?
Yeah.
And that was it. And, you always heard, okay, yeah, in England, they drink their beer warm. Well, they don't drink it warm. They just let it warm up, right? But, they drink their beer warm. So you're like, okay, well, I'm going to let this warm up. And you let it warm up. You're like, I'm not drinking this shit. Just pump it out.
But you also remember the big beers turn that into propaganda.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? For one.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? That would be interesting. We need to start throwing that question out there, John, which was before you found craft beer, what did you drink?
What did you drink? What was your beer? What was your go-to beer?
So we'll put it Staradumsky first.
Let's start it now. Yeah, go for it, John.
Well, I guess for me it was I used to drink a lot of St. Pauli Girl, a lot of Beck's.
Fair enough.
I love the German imports.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started to discover some of the other ones, and then the craft beers came along. So, and I never gave up on those beers. I still love good German lagers and. Get one of those craft beer advent calendars from Costco every year.
There you go.
Mine was actually Molson Golden.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because my freshman year, I drank a lot of Molson Golden. My sophomore year, some friends had come to college. And, because they were a year older than everybody else on their floor because they'd taken a gap year. Mm-hmm. They were gods to everybody else on their floor as far as drinking was concerned.
Sure.
And so... they invited myself and another friend over, and they'd found out that, freshman year, I was the chug champ on my floor. So they had their chug champ, and he was going to challenge me. He's like, I'm sorry, but, all we've got is Molson Golden. So just big poker face, like, okay, well, whatever. If that's all you got.
Whatever you got, I'll have to have.
Long story short, he's got...
Long story short?
Well, because
we're gonna make the long story shirt.
We're gonna make the long story shirt. But long story short, he had just a ton of beer going down his shirt, trying to keep up. As I finished it, I'm just watching him trying to gulp down the rest of it. It's like,
there you go. That's pretty funny.
Those Canadian beers were good though. I mean, I remember Labatt's. I always have a fondness in my heart for Labatt's.
Blue or just straight up.
The blue.
Blue,
yeah. What's the green is an ale, right? Which is actually pretty good too. Is that the 50? Used to drink a lot of Moosehead, and as a matter of fact, it was a year or so ago, Taco Mac had Moosehead on tap, and I had not had a Moosehead in ages, and I got so excited. I like the first beer I got was a bloody Moosehead, and it was pretty damn good. So
nice. I remember when I found Molson Canadian.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was a good one. And especially if you're in Canada and you got Molson up there, because it was like 2% higher than what you would get down here.
Oh yeah, yeah. They diluted it to come down to ship to
by law, right? They had to, yep. But Molson up there would wreck you.
Yep.
Yeah, they were. That was the real stuff. I remember getting a case of Carlin Black Label up in what the heck was it? It was some crazy town just over the border in Canada. And in those days, you didn't need a passport or anything. And compare it to the Black Label we got here in the U.S., it was like night and day. It was so good. But
yeah, there was I probably I drank back in the day. I probably drank more Jenny Cream than anything else.
Jenny Cream, the beer that actually closes the tanks at that very special time to keep all of those chemicals in there, so it tastes like cream corn.
Right. There you go. But then, well, what did I know, right? But I will mention 2 other beers too. Molson Golden, definitely.
Yeah.
And honestly, John mentioned German imports or whatever. One of my go-to German imports was Beck's Dark.
yeah, Beck's Dark.
Beck's Dark was damn good.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? And John, I did drink a lot of St. Pauli Girl back in college.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's some St.
St.
Pauli
Pauli Girl Dark. They had their version.
Never had the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, but St. Pauli Girl I would drink. Also, there's another one. My roommate loved it. Paulaner.
Oh, Paulaner, yeah.
Paulaner, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, we drank it. Oh, and there was another German beer that was popular back then. With an S, I can't remember it. Oh well. Spaten.
Yeah.
Spaten. We drank a lot of Spaten.
Not to say it's Spaten, yeah.
Yeah,
you gotta say it. Let's throw this one more out there. Let's throw one more out there really quick. Of all the old time, obviously macro, because there were no, well, there was no craft, but if there was no craft beer commercials or whatever. But as far as commercials go, what was your favorite old time macro jingle?
Jingle.
Oh,
that's going to take some time to think about.
Oh, that's easy.
No, that's easy actually.
Go ahead.
What's the when you're having more than one?
Schaefer.
Yeah,
Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than
one. That to me was it's the most memorable of all. I mean, I can remember.
Well, it's Rheingold. My beer is Rheingold, the dry beer. Think of Rheingold whenever you try beer. It's not bitter, not sweet. It's the extra dry treat. Once you try extra dry Rheingold beer, right?
I think Schaefer just destroyed them. It was short. It was simple.
It was Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one. Absolutely. Yeah. But my favorite was Lowenbrau.
Oh yeah.
Here's the good friends. Tonight is kind of special.
Yes, that was a good one. But one of my favorite commercials though was Meisterbrow, where they had the old guy making the bitter face. Remember that one? Yeah. Meisterbrow was one of the worst beers ever brewed in this country.
Right. Meisterbrow was I'd rather drink Peels than Meisterbrow, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. O'Keefe Canadian
Ale jingle.
I don't know that.
I don't think I've ever heard it. I'll have to go to YouTube when we finish the show and go check it out.
Check that one out.
Mine is the old Narragansett. Have you seen the sunlight shining over Narragansett Bay? I'm not going to try and sing it to you guys because you'll just drop
that only played up there apparently. I've never heard
probably.
that one. Yeah. Oh, wait a second. You were going to crush it like Quint for us. You still got the can?
Oh yeah, you still got the can there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got to crush that like Quint for us.
There
we go.
There you go.
We had who was it?
I don't have a foam cup. I would have crushed it like Richard Dreyfuss.
I don't know if I can do it. I can do it and crush that sucker. When we had it was Sean Lapolino who was on the show, and he actually came up with our top threes, which was top 3 beer moments in movies.
And that was his number one, yeah.
And being from Rhode Island, his number one was Crush It Like Quint.
Yeah. Sure. That's probably everybody's, right? I mean,
absolutely. It doesn't get better than that. Not at all.
That's hard.
And then, just to answer, Doug, probably somewhere between December and February, Doug. We'll keep everybody posted. Don't worry. We'll have it open.
That's December 2022 and February 2025.
Right, yeah. Well, in all honesty, yeah.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
We're shooting at this point for January or February. That's what we're shooting for. So that's when the brewery and the tap room will be open. But we'll keep everybody posted. Don't worry. But we have beer out, and we'll have more beer out, and we'll be around. So,
yep.
I'm gonna get everybody some. But we're excited. But like I said before, I digress. Since Tom's not here, I get to say it.
You've said it. Tom didn't say it at all in this show.
Tom didn't say it at all. I've said it about 4 or 5 times.
At least thrice.
Yeah. So, in any event, yeah, I love waxing nostalgic, and yeah, there was a lot of
Nostalgic
that
doesn't
tonight.
like it when he waxes them, though.
Nostalgic does not like it when I wax.
That's the name of his dog.
Nostalgic. It's bad. That's
Sorry.
just bad. Anyway, odd beer names. And the only reason I say this is because there's one beer name that I just wanted to throw out there for some reason. For some reason, it popped into my mind a minute or two ago, and I just want to say Old Frothing Slosh.
Oh, the beer with the foam on the bottom, right?
The foam on the bottom, right? Exactly. So anyway, all right. Well, Dave, anything else you want to bring up?
Nah, I think I'm good.
I think we're covered. We had a good show tonight. 2
Yeah,
hours, 10 minutes. I think we're good.
I think we're good. I've got to talk to my son about altering our plans for Yellowstone, since they're probably not going to be open.
Well, you never know. I mean, it's a month away. I mean, the waters can recede by then, so
they might, but
I would come up with a plan B and a plan C, and then just stand pat and see what happens. So,
Plan B. That's at the brewery.
Is it
Plan B?
Plan B? I thought that was the morning after pill.
It is. That would be a great name for a brewery.
There you go. Anyway, all right, John, don't go anywhere. We'll talk a couple minutes after we finish. Let me just wrap up the show for today. On that note, we want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our podcast. Yeah, right. I screwed it up already. Damn bourbon.
Bourbon's kicking in.
There you go. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerom.com. That's LAGERROM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night around 6:30 Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us.
Unless you want to.
Unless you want to. Right? It's up to you at that point, right? So
it's a free world.
Exactly. So, again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Drink a lot of beer, but drink responsibly. And we will talk to you soon, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Ciao.